Welcome to Bridging the Gap. I'm your host, Reya, and I'm using meaningful conversations and stories as tools to bridge the gap. You may ask, to what? We'll find out on this episode of Bridging the Gap. Hi, greetings from the San Francisco Bay Area, and welcome to this week's episode of Bridging the Gap with Reya. For those who have just discovered this podcast, Bridging the Gap is a place where meaningful conversations are held to help listeners utilize their interests and bridge the gap between their own unique story and passions. Bridging the Gap is also an outlet where we highlight rising and established talented individuals. So if you believe that you vibe with this mission, considering following this podcast and hitting the subscribe button to this channel. So without further ado, my next guest's story demonstrates that every hurdle that you may run into will eventually lead to all the amazing things life has to offer. He is a Filipino American comedian from the San Francisco Bay Area that is well known for his stand-up routines and work within the Filipino entertainment industry. In addition to recent movies like the Fabulous Filipino Brothers, Lumpia with a Vengence, which you can watch in selected theaters in California, he has also played Tito Manny in Easter Sunday. I am so excited to welcome Joey Guila. Hi, Joey.
Hey, when I say hello, you say Reya. Hello, Reya. Thank you so much for having me, man. I'm here located with the brick wall. Look at that, in Egypt, aka East Bay.
Oh, East Bay. I'm like, how are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me, man. I got no friends. I've been trying to, man. Thank you for calling.
Well, thank you so much for being part of Bridging the Gap, because I know you've been very busy, and at the time of this recording, you just visited Toronto for Joe Coy's Funniest Funny tour. How was Canada?
Canada is amazing. You know what? It's the food is so good. Everything tastes good there. I mean, what did we have? We had just like a basic burger. I don't know what they put in there. Man, it was like we're just making noises. You know it's good when you make noise?
Mm-hmm.
And the water was good. I was like, ooh, it's good tap water.
They probably have the fresh water over there.
Yeah, I just feel safe in Toronto. We're walking at 2 a.m. in the street. I have to look around my back like that. Yeah, people were singing, there was parrots on people's shoulders. I was like, man, Toronto's cool.
Nice. So since you have been touring with Joe Coy for over a year or a year and a half?
Yeah, about a year and a half.
Dang. What's it like touring of different parts of the world?
Oh man, just having the best time of my life. It's like a huge field trip. Remember how you were in school? You get excited to go somewhere new, and that's how it feels like every city. And the United States alone is beautiful. There's so many things to see.
Nice. But out of all the places that you've been to, what has been your favorite place that you visited?
You know what? Nashville. It was our first, and I was just amazed. We went down this one street with different bars, probably 10 bars on one block and different live music. So you walk by one bar, you're like, but everyone's jamming. And it was just like the energy was just crazy. And definitely one of my favorite shows in Nashville.
Love that. Oh, I want to visit Nashville so bad.
You'll love it. It's just the energy and the music. Someone's got an instrument in their hand just jamming. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. I wish I could play.
Was it hot over there?
It was super hot. Yeah. Okay. You know what's hot when mosquitoes just, I had mosquitoes in my perm. I was like, man, it's hot. It gets hot over there.
Dang. Well, I am so excited to dive into your story and your career. But I want to start off by asking, do you remember the first time we met? If not, it's okay. It's been a long time.
It was in a mall and I was trying on eye cream, I think.
No. Actually, no, because the reason why I brought this up, because I wanted to share the first time I saw you do your thing. I think it was back in 2014, and you were co-hosting Ilona Santiago's debut. Remember that?
Oh my gosh, that's right. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Ilona's debut. That's right.
Yeah, it was so long ago, but I know I still vividly remember it. If for anyone listening, if you don't remember Ilona, she was a contestant on the X Factor back in I think 2013. And yeah,
she was so dope.
Yeah, and I remember you were sharing your talents with everyone, and one instance that I remembered was it was I think you and her sister were co-hosts, right? And you guys needed to stretch because
she needed, because Alona needed to like change for her like finale. I think it was like a hip hop finale. And like,
Oh, right.
yeah. And one way you guys stretched was like, I think Alona's sister brought in like another musical friend, and they did like a battle, like a singing riff off a battle. And then like you, like, I don't know if you're like, do you consider yourself musically inclined or no?
I'm just a fan of music. Yeah, I can't sing. Oh my gosh. I'll
Dude,
get I'll get an ear infection if I sang right now, but I love music. I'm a fan.
yeah, but I remember like they were going off like riffing, like riff battling off, and then they like tell you to join, and you like mock them so well, like that, like it got everyone to laugh, and I think that was just such a vivid memory because I recorded it, but like on Snapchat, but I can't find it. I'm so sad about that. But then like I think like a year later on, I saw you at another event. And then like I saw how well you hosted the event, and I was like, wow, if I ever become a host, I would like to be like Joey Guila.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so having you as a guest means the world to me because I've looked up to you ever since I was like 14. And I know you've been so busy touring the Joy Koi and Easter Sunday promotions. So I just really want to start off by saying thank you so much for being on Bridging the Gap with Reya.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me. Thank you for bringing this good energy. I feel the good juju energy. I feel energy. I feel it. Like you got good energy. I'm like, she played a long time.
Yeah, I feel it too. Like we started off when you came into this space, you just started off being so opening and like so welcome. So I'm seriously cannot wait to hear your story and like your input on like everything that has happened. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Thanks for sharing that memory earlier too. That's awesome.
Anytime. Okay, so let's talk about your early years. So your dad is Filipino, but your mom is a mixture of Burmese, English, Irish, Spanish, Italian, and was born and raised in India.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like growing up in a family with a bunch of cultures and traditions blended into one?
Oh, it was amazing. Like the food was crazy. Yeah, because I mean, my favorite course was Filipino food, and on the other hand, it was like Indian, Burmese food. And we grew up in the Richmond district in San Francisco, so the Chinese food influence. But um, it was. I just thought everyone was just one mixed race growing up. So yeah, but what was good about it is learning, all the different cultures um, and just when I was a kid, I was like a parrot. I would just imitate everyone's accents. Yeah, so I didn't even know that was, being funny. I would just listen to my grandma, my grandpa, then on my dad's side, and growing up watching my dad entertain the family parties. He was the real comedian, my dad. So we walk into a Guila party. He used to dress like, like John Travolta with a shirt open, and all of a sudden he dressed me with my shirt open too. I was like the only one on the swing, my nipple showing. I said, "Dad, I'm on regular clothes." But he would come in the party. He was so funny. He turned on the music. He started dancing. He started making fun of his brothers and his sisters. And yeah, that was my first taste of like even watching stand-up comedy was through my father. And yeah, and I think growing up being like in a multicultural family, it just gave me a lot of great experience and just to appreciate everyone.
Oh, I love that so much. Like the accents, when you brought up the accents, it definitely helped with what you're doing now. Like, whoa.
Yeah. I never thought I'd do it on stage. I just thought, I was just like a little parrot, just like watching everyone all the time. And yeah, and I grew up with in a Russian neighborhood, Chinese neighborhood. So yeah, as a kid, I would just imitate everyone and record my voice on a little boom box. Like I hear my I used to go to my Russian friend's house and I would imitate like his dad, He's like, everybody do your homework if you want to play baseball or football. And I recorded to everybody want to play baseball or football.
Well, like, okay, speaking of parrots, from what I read, your strict grandfather labeled you as the ringleader of the family.
Man,
So
yeah, I was always in trouble.
yeah, so
Yeah.
how does being known as a ringleader resonate with your personality and foreshadow what have you been doing in your life and your career?
Oh, that's a lot. I just happen to be the oldest grandson, so I'd always get in trouble if who dirty the bloody living room. It's probably you, the bloody ringleader. Those are all your bloody toys. So yeah, I always got in trouble because I was the oldest, so I had to be responsible for the younger cousins. But yeah, my grandfather, I love him, rest in peace. But yeah, he was crazy strict. He'd always say, because we're always eating. We're always eating. He was always so strict. This is not a bloody cafeteria. In and out, eating, drinking.
Would your like younger siblings or cousins like follow your footsteps too, where everything would be like chaotic in your family?
On my mom's side, I was the oldest cousin. My dad's side, I had like 1,000 cousins.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot of us were like the same age, so yeah, it was definitely a great experience. But I really looked up to my older cousins, like on my dad's side, because they were way older. So I wanted to be just like all of them too. Yeah, they were players, but I was like a Christian player. I was like, I'll be Christian player.
We love that. We love that. But when you were going through adolescence and attending high school, did you have any specific interests that led you to be a comedian, or were you interested in pursuing another career?
Oh, you know what? I didn't know what I wanted to be growing up. I just wanted to be, when you just want to be liked in high school. You just wanted to have friends. And I think I used to joke around a lot because it just kind of brightened the room. I always like to make people feel good. So I remember when I was young, I'd see my dad go into, our parties, and all of a sudden everyone's laughing, having a good time. So in the 80s, all my friends were DJs. So they'd be setting up the equipment. And I remember grabbing the microphone. And all of a sudden I started, joking with my friends. And then no one wanted to dance. So I'll make people dance, or I'll dance funny, to get people dancing. And I'm like, that's what my dad used to do in the 70s. And I think that just kind of, laid the foundation for stand-up. So I wanted to make people feel good. And I loved the music. I love to dance. And I never thought like 30 years later, I'll still be doing it on stage.
Whoa. Like when you mentioned like the 80s DJ scene in the Bay Area.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I've heard stories. I understand what you're saying.
Oh, it was crazy. It was like, it was a fashion show. I mean, all the Pinoys, we all had this perfect pompadour.
Mm-hmm.
And I always wanted straight hair. I had curly hair, so I had to straighten it. And some of my friends use a curly hair to get that perfect pump. They spend more time in their hair than girls. We used to walk around with big old hair, be like hella heavy, going to a garage party all matching.
Mm-hmm. From like your DJ like party scene days, what song would get you like hyped up?
Oh, it was When I Hear Music. Oh my gosh. It was a jam called When I Hear Music.
Yeah.
That was a jam. I hear it. I said, oh man, I put lotion on my elbows. Like, man, they're gonna see me do it. My elbows.
Yeah. Any cha-cha songs like you were into during that time?
What cha-cha I could not do. All my friends were so good, just debonair. My cousin John was so good at cha-cha. I was like, man, because everyone that did cha-cha had a big put. I had a flat put, so I couldn't cha-cha. I wish I could cha-cha. But I remember the songs though. Yeah. Always that one Tito with a long pinky nail looking at the girls.
Have you learned it though, or like you're still trying to learn?
I still want to learn. That's one thing I never learned was cha-cha.
Really?
Yeah, I still love watching though.
Just watching?
I could never do that. No.
Oh man. Well, you know what? Let's party together. I got you. Like,
all right, let's go. Cha-cha lesson.
Cha-cha lesson. I got you. Like,
I'm going to Aldo right after this. Get some cha-cha shoes.
I've taught so many people, and like they would get it like in like a few minutes. So hopefully we can do that with you. So
okay, definitely, man. That's right. That's what Filipino families do. Let's do it.
Let's go. But then, okay, let's talk about your early stages in your career. So you are so open with sharing the trials you've been through in your career. One trial you've openly shared about is your battle with cancer. Mm-hmm. How did being diagnosed with cancer shifted your perspective on how do you live life? And especially as a 23-year-old, like how did your initial diagnosis force you to alter your lifestyle?
It's weird. It's like a blessing in disguise. And, when I found out I had 4th stage cancer, it was pretty cold. It was like, hey, you got 4th stage cancer. I was like, oh. And I remember joking about it. And when I joked about it, I felt good. And I said, even though my body was in pain and I felt like something was wrong, it made me learn so much about life and going through therapy, going through radiation, chemotherapy. And I said, life is, there's a time limit. Sometimes you got an hour, sometimes you got 100 years. And when I was going through treatment, I started planning my future immediately. So even though they would tell me some news like, hey, 15% chance or 20% chance. I would go, you mean I got 120? I'd always at 100, always at 100. And so I had it actually 3 times. I had fourth stage cancer 3 times. But I used to watch stand-up comedy, and I watched things that would make me feel good. And I remember just using my imagination a lot and thinking about how my body would feel when it was better. So I was just I didn't even know if that was called alternative therapy before it was, or just using my imagination. But I knew the mind-body connection was so important. And although doctors, they always try to do the right thing and trying to help you out, but learning about ourselves, and we're human beings that are so powerful, and what we speak and what we think can really help with creating miracles within ourselves and even healing other people. So while going through treatment, I'd watch stand-up comedy. I would be laughing. Some of my favorites like Robin Williams, Richard Pryor, and I used to watch Sanford and Son, and I'd watch Comic View, BET's Comic View, and I'd see D.L. Hughley, Second Entertainer, and I'd be laughing. And then one time I said, "Who's this Asian brother? He's hilarious. What's his name? Is he Japanese? Joe Coy. That brother's hilarious." And I was like, I'm getting inspired by this Asian brother. And I said, man, I'd love to, when I'm in remission, I would love to learn this art and also heal people, because they were definitely healing me.
Oh, that's so amazing. And I'm like so happy you're still with us. Like, and like you, like, I guess like your perspective on how to like keep on going and to like alter your like the universe and like shift where you want it to be, like this definitely healed you. So I think a lot of people who are probably in the position where they're probably losing hope, or they're probably like trying to figure out how they could get out of like that dark space. Hopefully they can hear that story and share like, oh my gosh, if he did it, I can do it too. Like that's amazing. But you talked about, you were watching stand up and you were thinking about, I could do this and I could do that. But when you were getting treatment, like, did you thought, like, oh, I can go up there even though I'm experiencing like stage 4 cancer? Or did you decide to wait until you went into remission to get back on stage?
Oh, so what happened was, I lost my hair, right? Yeah. The pompadour just fell, boom, it was gone. And then I said, wait a second. If I want to do comedy, I need some kind of a trade. Maybe I'll get into hairdressing, because my grandfather and great grandfather were hairdressers. So I said, when I'm in remission, I'm going to sign up. I'm going to be a barber at least, because I knew how to kind of fade hair and stuff. And I went to cosmetology school, and they were like, no, you need to do hair color, because that's where the money is. And I was like, oh, it wasn't about the money, but it was in Vallejo. So I went to cosmetology school, got licensed, and no one knew this, but so I had cancer in my L4. L4 collapsed. And when I was going to cosmetology school, I was in pain and I had to stand up. And I remember I had to take Vicodin just to be able to stand up in class, but no one knew. And I just take it and be standing and working on my doll head, bite my lip. It was pain. And the girl was like, you try to look sexy when you do it here. I was like, hold on, my back is hurting. Yeah, so after that, I couldn't believe I did 1,600 hours, got licensed. And I remember I had to do like a speech, and I just ended up crying. And I was like, why is this dude crying? Why is this guy crying? I was like, I want that. But so I started working at a hair salon in Maiden Lane in Union Square called Joseph Koza. And I was going through an assistant program. And then I got a job at Jose Bear Salon in Beverly Hills. And they had like an assistant program. So I was working my way to getting my my own share, because I was already licensed. So you train with them, you learn their style. And we used to get a lot of movie stars, and I used to trip out like, whoa. So one day Jerry Seinfeld came in, and my friend was cutting his hair, and I was looking, I was like peeping like this. I was staring at him, and he played off. I was like, and I was like, dang, that's amazing. He's one of, such a dope comic, and he had a successful sitcom. And I said, man, Joe, you gotta start stand up. And so in LA, I just took this class, random. I didn't know, just anything that said comedy class, I just took. And that's how it kind of started. And then they had like a showcase, and I didn't want to go to showcase because I missed some classes, so I didn't have anything ready. So I was like, man, I just gotta go. I gotta go to the showcase. Went to the showcase. It was like Latino night. I was so nervous. It was like a rough crowd, and I think I was like third to go up, and I was drinking other people's drinks. I was just grabbing them. I don't know who it was. I got a cold sore. I didn't care. I said, who got a cold sore? But with no material, I went up there and I grabbed the mic, and I just, without material, I just started, we call it riffing, just kind of freestyling. You know, remember when my dad did with the family, what I did at the garage party, and I was joking, like teasing the people, making fun of the place. And yeah, I was like, whoa. I was like, man, I grabbed the mic out of crowds doing stand-up. People were laughing. Then second time I went back again. They're like, you got to come back, you know, and I actually try to write jokes. I bombed so hard. People came to see me. I was like, yeah, and I forgot my jokes. Yeah, and I was all, any Capricorns in the house? Scorpions? I mean, Scorpios. I was saying Scorpio, I was so nervous. Any Scorpio? I was like, man. And afterwards, one of my friends' mom goes, the guitar guy was funny. I was like, oh, I bombed. I had to sleep on my stomach. I was like, stand-up comedy so hard. How am I doing this? But yeah, that was in LA. The first club I ever performed at was the Haha Comedy Club.
Wow. Wait, so if you look back at that first time you did stand up, like was it easy to go up there for you, or was it just like, no, you said that you bombed, or what, like was that a trial and error process where you had to find the confidence to prove yourself, like, and not only the audience that like you have the ability to do stand up? Because I've seen like comics that, you know, they go up there and then, you know, they start off well, but then they start bombing and then they know that they're bombing. Like what was that process for you?
You know, I realized that I said, you know, it's an art. It's an art form, just like martial arts. You know, when you first start, you're just learning like the basic foundation, you know, the forms. And I said, if I really want to be good at this, I have to, you know, put in the labor. There's labor behind this. I see people going up every day. God dang. You write every day? Oh my gosh, you write every day. And I think with stand-up comedy or anything you want to master, it's just putting the hours and failing. And it's okay to fail. It hurts when it's stand-up though, because you're the only one. You're by yourself on stage. And but yeah, a lot of it is falling off the bike and getting back on. And pretty soon you're like, oh man, I'm not falling as much anymore. And you know, that was kind of like the process, just trial and error and just sticking with it and having a good time and not being too hard on yourself. Because making people laugh is a gift. And so I was like, thank you, God, for giving me the gift. But now it's my duty to, you know, showcase the gift properly by, you know, kind of like watering the plant, watering the gift that he gave me so that it blooms and people could simply go, I love it.
Well, let's talk about your gift, because your jokes are basically about your life and accompanied by sharp and expressive gestures, lively facial expressions, and energetic dancing. And, you know, I've learned that from comedians, like you don't look at things the way like regular people do. And that's why I think it makes your jokes relatable and unique. Can you share what your perspective is on how ideas come into mind or your way to turn into a joke?
You know, I think just like everyday observations, and you know, just usually you're with friends or family, you make the observation and people start laughing, and you're like, oh, that's real experience. I'd love to share that with the world now. And so the tricky thing is, it works with your friends. Can it work with strangers? So you have to try it. It's almost like when you start cooking, you start learning how to cook. You know, you letting people sample, and the more people that say good, then you're like, oh, I'm gonna keep that one. I'm gonna keep that one in. And some jokes they need to be worked a little longer. You're like, oh, the recipe, it's missing salt. Yeah. Or it's too salty. So yeah, that's kind of like the process.
Nice. So, but then with that in mind, why do you think a lot of people from all ages resonate with you and your jokes?
All ages. I try to be as clean as possible because I always, when my mom sees me, I just I don't really cuss, so I want her to enjoy it as well because she means the world to me. So I was like, man, if my mom was in the audience, can I still make people laugh without dropping the f-bombs or you know. So I have to be creative in a way where, because I'm a big fan of Sinbad too. Sinbad, he's an amazing comedian that I look up to, and he's super clean. He's super clean. So yeah, I think, and I'm Catholic. I'm just kidding. No. Can you say that in church?
Oh my
I
god.
saw it. I went like this, almost poked my eyelid.
Well, I think you touch so many people's like I think you touch into so many people's memories. Like no, like I think since you're so like into the culture and you know a lot of like music and like the trends that are happening, I think a lot of people like resonate with your like jokes and like your style of comedy is because like you highlight everything that's happening and like what's happening in the past. Like when you do like CVB type of like what's it called? When you just mentioned CVB type of music and like that era of music, like that a lot of Bay Area people like really loved during the 80s and 90s. I think, like for people like me who seen their parents like listen to that music and like vibe with it, it makes them vibe too. And then I think that's why you like also draw people like young people in because it's like, oh, he knows all the stuff that I like too. So I applaud you for like connecting with everyone like all ages because
Oh, awesome! Thank you so much. That means a lot. That means a lot.
yeah,
From
I swear like I watch your YouTube like stand-ups and it's like relatable even if it's like like so long ago since you recorded them, like it still hits home.
Oh, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Send me a laugh. I cry my stomach.
Anytime. So like, okay, let's talk about your previous roles, like, in acting, because, comedians are known for doing stand-up and then later on pursuing acting. Did you ever think you were going to become an actor?
Oh, that's a good question. Um, years ago when I first started doing stand-up comedy, they had a competition called the Kings and Queens of Comedy Search Tour. And I wasn't going to enroll in the competition. A friend of mine was there and I went. It was at Kimball's East in Emeryville. And I went to go watch. And my friend goes, man, you just sign up. I said, I just started stand-up, man. I just started. I'm like, I want to compete. Just sign up, just go. And I don't know what fluke is, whatever, but I ended up winning. But I was so scared there. Boom, people. Boo. Boo. So, but from winning that competition, I think it was like 2003 or 4, I got to perform in Universal Amphitheater, opening up for the Queens of Comedy. And it was a fun, amazing show. And afterwards, there were agents that came to the back. And I was like, oh, and they were like, hey, let's talk, let's meet up, whatever, yeah. And at the time, I was like, whoa, Asia, I just started doing stand-up. I'm just on a mission, And Walter Latham, who put together the Kings of Comedy, he wanted to do a sitcom. He wanted to do a sitcom, and we had a meeting, and he was like, yeah. He goes, I like your story about, being a hairdresser, a straight hairdresser. And yeah, we spoke about whatever, but at that time, I was just interested in healing. So I knew that a sitcom, you could be like working 10, 12-hour days, and my body was just still healing. And I remember just thinking, I would love to just still work on stand-up and make people feel good. But years later, I thought about how amazing acting is. I'm just so impressed with actors. And I have a big respect for that art. And I can't believe years later I would be, dipping my toes in acting. And yeah, here we are, like years later. I'm 50. Oh man, I'm 50 years old. I'm acting. I would say, man, I should have did it. I go, no, what? It's the perfect time now. 50 is the perfect time right now to start acting.
Yeah, but like, oh, you hit Hollywood. Wow.
Active.
Oh
man, I'm just so thankful to. Yeah, that was amazing. That was amazing. Yeah, shout out to everyone that put me in their movie, Fabulous Filipino Brothers, for the Bosco family. Lumpia with a Vengeance, and Joe Coy, thank you so much for Easter Sunday.
So like yeah, like since you mentioned your previous projects, like before Easter Sunday, you were featured in those films, like and like TV shows like The Nut Shack. From your standpoint, why was it so important to be part of these like Filipino centric projects?
Oh gosh, it was just I just felt excited for the world of all ethnicities to hear our stuff, our story. Yeah, because I think Filipinos, we blend well. We just be blended in. But I just love the fact that non-Filipinos, get to know our culture, get to know our food, get to know our sense of humor.
Nice. But then, in addition to acting, you were also mixed host and hosted TV shows like That's My Jam and Mixed Rated. During that time, how important was it to use your talent and highlight all the amazing creators in the community?
Oh gosh, that was such a good experience. I was just so excited. There's so many talented people out there, so many, and to have them be a guest on the show I was hosting. Wow, and I learned from every guest that I interview, just seeing how talented and passionate they are, and um, how creative everyone was. Yeah, it was great because I used to love watching Soul Train growing up as a kid in the 70s. I used to like this. The guy's name was Don Cornelius. He used to host and bring up cool acts and interview people. And that was my favorite show. So yeah, it was kind of like, you know, having my own version of that and also showcasing a bunch of talented Asian brothers and sisters too.
Nice. Okay, speaking of talented Asian brothers, let's talk about your friendship with Joe Coy. You good? You ready?
Yeah, I'd love
Okay.
to. Yes.
How did you two cross paths after you've seen him on Comedy Central and during your remission or during the treatment?
Yeah. I believe our first time we actually met was watching him at the Laugh Factory. And another good friend of mine, Edwin San Juan, actually brought me to the Laugh Factory. And yeah, and I was like, whoa, I'm just so excited to see like other Asian comics. I was just starting, and I just remember seeing Joe for the first time. How excited I was because seeing him on Comic View and now in person, and I'm like, this brother's Filipino? What? I was like, I thought he was Japanese because he's doing a joke about sushi on BT. That's okay, that's so dope. So we ended up meeting there, and he just little Joe, his son, was just born, I think. Yeah, he was just born, just a baby, and yeah, we met like over 20 years ago, maybe like 21, 22 years ago. It's been, and yeah, just a fan of his work, his energy, his big heart, and how passionate he is about the art and the people that come to see him. He loves his fans. He loves his fans.
I can see that because him coming out in the community, meeting all the people who watch like Easter Sunday, and just like immersing himself with like his supporters and who are like either Filipino or not. That's like very inspirational because not a lot of people do that, and like I know that you do it too, and that makes like a lot of people like audience members or fans just like feel like oh, they're special and like they're seen. So what you guys have been doing together is amazing, like for the community and just for like everyone who like supports you guys.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
good.
Thank you so much. And to bring it up in Toronto, uh, he sold out. It was 12,000 people in the audience. So he was taking pictures and everything with all these people. And then he said, you know what? I'm just going to run out into the middle of 12,000 people. He just jumped off stage and just started, running through everyone. Everyone was going crazy. And I was like, Joe, go back. And he's like, everybody. And he just made everyone feel so good. Like, and then afterwards he told me, he goes, you know what? There was people up in the, that were sitting up in the grass. They paid hard-earned money. I want to go say hi to them too. And I was like, he made me tear. I was like, I want to go too. It's far though. I said it's far. I was like, yeah. Yeah, but that's there's a lot of things he does behind the scenes that no one knows.
Mhm.
Like he's an angel. He's definitely an angel, and he takes care of a lot of people, and he's very he's super humble about it too.
Mhm.
I love
What
it.
Yeah, what I loved about like your friendship is that he brought you and a bunch of like other comedians to the Philippines to film like his like I think it's his third Netflix um
Yeah.
series. So like when Joe Coy asked you to come out to the Philippines, were you open to the idea of visiting the Philippines, or did it take some convincing on from his end to persuade you to travel and perform?
Well, right before that happened, I had a little dip with my health, and he would always check on me. He's like, "Hey, Joey," because I was thinking I was like, I already did stand up already. I'm gonna try something else. And he's like, "Hey, Joey, I got this project. I want you to get well." And I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna get well." I didn't know what it was, and he's like, "Just get well." Check on me 3 months later. How you feeling? Oh, I said, "I'm getting better, man. I'm getting stronger." All right, well, we're gonna go to the Philippines. I go, Philippines? What? I never been to the Philippines. I was excited.
Really?
First time. I had everything: Philippine t-shirt, hats, some Philippine sunglasses, Manny Pacquiao shoes, got a keychain too. I'm going Philippines. But yeah, we were, and I said, "What's going on?" He had a chance to do another special, but he said, "You know what? I just told them, I just want to go there, and I just want to highlight some dancers in the Philippines, some producers in the Philippines, and I want to bring you guys to show you the Philippines." And he goes, "That's all I want to do is, for whatever time they give me, I want to, at least show a few seconds of our food. These are our dancers. This is our country. And this is not about me at all. It's about, about the Philippines. It's about everyone." So within that hour that they gave Joe, he just said, it's about, the talented rapper that they highlighted. And because of that, she got this amazing recording deal because she was on In His Elements with Joe Coy.
Mm-hmm.
The producer from the Philippines was able, to meet a producer that produces, Jay-Z and Beyonce's music. They got to work together. And the dancers in the Philippines, man, they got to meet, one of Joe's best friends, one of the, the baddest beat boys. And yeah, it was just a showcase of love. He just wanted to put the Philippines on the map. And I love that. It could have been about him, but he said, "It's not about me. It's about everyone here on stage." And I'm so thankful that he brought me, first time to be in the Philippines and to perform in the homeland for our people. That was probably one of the proudest moments, just to just to soak up, the energy, the culture. And I can't wait to go back. We're going back this week, actually.
No way.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he's having a big show in an arena.
Mm-hmm.
And we're also gonna show Easter Sunday the day before. Yeah, they're gonna have a premiere in the Philippines. So Easter Sunday in the Philippines. Yes.
Ooh.
Go Chokoy, go Chokoy.
So, were you afraid that the Philippine audience wouldn't resonate with you and your jokes during that time?
Yes. Yeah, yeah. Because I'm very Bay.
Uh-huh.
The slang, the
Yeah.
references. So I was kind of writing as I was flying there. I was like, ooh, hope they like me. It's like the Bay Area is so different from the rest of the world. And yeah, I was very nervous. I was super nervous. And I said, all I could do is be myself and share a little bit of my story. And yeah, I said, I remember meditating, and I just said, I just remember closing my eyes and saying, I just want to connect. I want to uplift, and I want to send some healing energy to the crowd. And, I'm going to have the mission to do that on stage. It's going to be on Netflix. But I just want to make someone feel good, whether it's, 3, 100, or 100,000. And yeah, I just left it at that.
So when you visit the Philippines, and you did mention like the Bay is not like any other place. How was culture shock for you?
Wow, it was culture shock in the most beautiful way, because looking around the Philippines, over here we complain about, you know, oh, like I grew up poor or whatever, No. And I saw that. I remember seeing 3 kids in the street, no shoes, playing with a broken toy. laughing, having the best time of their life. And that right there told me this is what life is. It's not material. It's what you make of it. It's about friendship. And there was no competition. All they were doing was just playing with a broken toy and having a good time. And I just said, man, we're so spoiled here that we forget, the important thing about love and sharing and being grateful. But it was so beautiful, to just to see the people, to smell the food. Ooh, I thought I knew Filipino food. No, not until you go to the Philippines where it was invented. Just be like, I remember we were just in a jeepney, just smelling different flavors. It's like, sitting in a jeepney, we're like, ooh, is that peanut bed? That's peanut bed. Yeah.
Ooh. Okay, so because since like you have been going on tour for like a year and a half now, how has going on tour led you to figure out how you are going to elevate in your career?
Wow. The first time I got on stage, I said I made it. And when I first started, I never, me personally, I never sought after being famous. I never sought after having, millions and millions of dollars. It was always just being in the moment. And, if God gives me the time, I'll provide the funny. And that's how it's been the past, 22 years. Just being in the moment and letting the blessings come. Because I enjoy what I do. And yeah, so it's a reward to see people in the audience. So every time I see someone laughing in the audience, I feel I made it.
Well, you definitely did make it because you're going on tour. You went to Dubai. You're going to the Philippines. You went all over the world, right? Or like, did you not? Have you not gone to like Africa or anything? Are you guys going to Africa yet?
That'll be nice. I heard there's talks, maybe. Yeah.
Talks?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're going back to Dubai after the Philippines, like right after the show. We were performing in Dubai again. So, or actually for the first time. First time got canceled because rest in peace, the king or the ruler passed away
Mm-hmm.
the day before we're supposed to perform. So there was no entertainment. So yeah, so we ended up flying back home, and we love Dubai though, but we're back again. Dubai, here we come.
Wait, so you guys went to Dubai, you guys toured Dubai, but then the ruler of Dubai died, and so you guys didn't even perform.
Yeah, the day before.
Wow.
So it was 2 hours before we were going to perform. We found out that out of respect, they asked that everyone not perform.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we totally understood. We're like, you know what? We love it here. And Joe was like, we're coming back. We're coming back for sure. Yeah.
Wow.
Mhm.
Hopefully everything works out this
Yeah.
But
That's you got sore throat or anything? You good? I'm just kidding. Yeah.
let's talk about Easter Sunday because
Yes.
it's in theaters right now. Since you have worked on other Filipino-centric projects, what was your initial reaction when Joe Coy shared with you that like he planned for Easter Sunday and he had Steven Spielberg backing it up? Like, what was your initial thoughts?
Holy, he told me like 4 years ago. He was just telling the story. It was after a gig in San Jose. I was in this hotel room. He's like, "Yo, man, did I tell you I had this amazing meeting with? Oh my gosh!" I go, "Who?" He goes, "Steven Spielberg." I said, "What? What did Steven go? What?" Yeah, and he just said Steven saw his special and was like, loved it, and he wanted to come in and speak. And during this meeting, they asked, "Hey, we would love to work with you. Do you have anything for us?" And off the top of his head, and he's always been thinking about this, his crazy experience with his family during one day on Easter Sunday, and just shared it. And he's just like, and yeah, when he told me that, I was like, no way. Because you always hear things and sometimes they don't come through, whatever. And found out it's being it's taking place in Daly City and yada yada. So, boom, pandemic hits, and he's like, "Oh, there's no way we can't film. It's gonna be paused. Can't film in Daly City." He's like, "Man, you're thinking it's not gonna happen." And then he's like, "You know what? We can still make it happen. They're allowing filming in Vancouver." And here we are today. Yeah, that's so Vancouver it was. Yeah, and we, although we're filming during the pandemic, it was a trip because we were in quarantine for 14 days right when we got there. So we're on the same floor, all of us, all the actors on the same floor, and we're in our rooms for 14 days. We're just counting the days. When we gonna get out? Just looking out the window. And when we got out, we were so happy to see each other. We're in each other's rooms. We all had our own condos. I'm like, what? Lou Diamond Phillips is in the room with us? That's like crazy. We're going to say hi to Tiffany Haddish room. Yeah, and the whole and just meeting the whole cast, they're all like, man, they're all my brothers and sisters. All of them. Me and Rodney Toe, we're always laughing. Oh my gosh. We had so much fun. Always behind the scenes. We're always giggling, telling each other jokes, making each other laugh. But everyone was so wonderful to work with. They were so good. I just respected their acting skills. And just during like the read through, I was like, whoa, everyone's so good. I was nervous. I was like, everyone's so good, experienced. But yeah, it was. I'll never forget this.
Mm-hmm. So you did mention that you guys shot in Vancouver, and then we've been talking about the Bay. So I want to know, and I feel like a lot of people from the Bay Area want to know this too. What were your thoughts on Easter Sunday's version of Daly City?
Oh, my thought? Well, I'm from Daly City.
Yeah,
I'm from Daly City. And I just remember growing up and knowing like all movies weren't made where they were, even all the sitcoms, and it had to be done in a way where, everyone in the world can understand it. You know what I'm saying? So I thought it was like, considering we're shooting in Vancouver, it's like you just do the best you can.
mm-hmm.
Do the best you can and hope people just love the whole story and, just see the whole picture. Because I think like, when, being from Daly City, there was probably I worked in Ceremony. I worked in Orange Julius in Ceremony. I wish there was like Orange Julius still there, but yeah, I was just so happy to even see Daly City in the film. You don't really see that in a lot of movies. Yeah. So being it mentioned and it taking place there, it's like giving a big, shout out to Daly City, definitely.
I gotta say, they nailed down Ceremony real good. It looked exactly
Oh,
like
really?
Ceremony. Really, I was like, wow. Like it looked like you guys actually filmed in Ceremony.
Oh wow. Yeah, in spirit. I was gonna
I want to ask, did you have to audition, or were you just given the role?
Also, here's a story. Joe, he told me they were looking for an older man character. So I wasn't part of the cast.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone got picked already, but there was one character looking for an older uncle. He's like, Joey, I never thought of you because we're the same age, and but one day he was going through my Instagram, and then I do this old man filter with all these jokes, and he's like, yo. So he calls me up and goes, hey man, those filters, can you send them to me? Those ones where you do the Filipino uncle? And I go, really? He goes, yeah, send me a few of them. So I sent it to him because I'm gonna send it to the director. And I was like, oh, okay, for real? Yeah. So I sent it to him and I was just like, I wonder what's, I didn't really know what's going on. And then he sends me a screenshot. And then Jay's a director. He's like, yeah, I like that. I like that character. And then Joe's like, well, all right, well, let him audition. So yeah, so did a tape, and I wish I could show you right now what it was. It's very fine on my phone. But I colored my hair gray even more. I am gray though, but I made it even more gray. I made it even more gray, and yeah, I sent in like a 3 minute, you know, Tito video. Yeah, and sent it in, and Jay liked it, and they said, you know what? Yeah, you're in. I was like, what? But he goes, Joey, that those videos, that video got you the gig.
Wow.
Yeah, so I always wanted to do those videos just to make people feel good. I was like, man, I want people to laugh at home, but I never thought it would get me to be in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, wow, that's crazy.
Is there any inspiration behind Tito Manny?
My dad.
Your dad.
My dad, yeah. Yeah, because my dad was a playboy too. And he was always like, he was always smooth, and he was all about his image. And he was a joker, funny, and but very flirtatious too. And yeah, so Tito Manny is definitely my dad.
Nice. Okay, to end the Easter Sunday portion of this interview, I want to ask you, how have you seen Easter Sunday changing the entertainment industry when it comes to more representation of all ethnicities and cultures on the big screen?
Wow. I personally haven't seen like a Filipino cast on the big screen. And I sat there and I thought to myself, that's a trip. It's 2022. And I'm so happy. It's about time. And like Joe said, this is just a door for everyone else. Easter Sunday is actually a door. And it's for, like Joe said, everyone just come on in, rush through. Because we don't know what the future holds, but I think it's definitely going to create more opportunities for other people, for everyone else, for all Asians, and especially the Filipinos.
Nice. Okay. Wow. Well, hopefully, you guys are definitely the pioneers for that more representation and more ethnic stories to be shown on the big screen. So I want to thank you and Joe Coy and the cast and crew of Easter Sunday for making this film, because it is needed right now. This film is needed right now. So can't wait to see what it how it resonates 20 years later on. I think hopefully it's oh yeah, that's the first movie that I saw myself in theaters. So okay, we're almost at the end of our interview. I have 3 quick questions. Okay. So you are living every aspiring comedian's dream. What else do you want to achieve beyond stand-up and acting?
I think I want to I have a passion for cooking. I love to cook. And I think later on, probably when I retire from stand-up or acting, I'd definitely like to get more into the fine cuisine, because I think food is also healing. And I know when I cook, I like to put the intention of love in the ingredients, because like they say, water holds information, and so does food. That's why we pray over our food. And so when I cook, if I'm cooking with love and someone's eating my food, I think, I think that connection is so crazy. But yeah, I think I definitely love to, because my dad was such a good chef. He was so talented. Yeah, he was a chef. I didn't mention that. He was a player and a chef. No. But yeah, I definitely like to learn more about cooking, and yeah, that's what I'd love to do.
So what advice would you give someone who is probably in the position that you were in 20 years ago and want to pursue their dreams?
Okay. I see life as a menu. And sometimes you pick one thing, sometimes you pick 3 things. And sometimes you got to try everything. Life is like a buffet. Sometimes you got to taste different things to find out ooh, this is me. And once you find that, once you find whatever it is you want to do, now the road is to get good at anything. Like the finest things in life doesn't come easy, is what I learned. Everything takes work and discipline. And discipline, once you have discipline, you can do anything. So using your imagination is definitely the start, combined with action, discipline. I think that's pretty much like the formula. There's definitely, you got to dream about it. You got to think about it. You have to have faith. And don't be afraid to make mistakes, because mistakes bring you closer. Every mistake is like a step forward into the direction. And be in the moment and enjoy the process, because sometimes the best part of your goal is getting there. So remember, just as long as you're doing something and there's movement, you're getting there.
I love that so much. That was so good. So good.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
It's inspiring me. It's inspiring me. Oh my gosh.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for bringing, this platform, bridging the gap. Everybody watch this, and you're doing a wonderful job. Thank you so much for having me. And cheers. Iced coffee. Yeah.
Cheers. I do have one more question though. This is like the last question.
Of course.
Okay. Since Bridging the Gap is a place where meaningful conversations are held to help listeners utilize their interests and bridge the gap between their own unique story and passions, how do you see yourself continuing to bridge the gap between your identity, the cultures you're a part of, your craft, and any other endeavor that will be coming your way?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. And I'm going to have the right answer, but I think I said this earlier, is just being present, being in the moment, putting your phone down. No matter what your goal is, you have to have time to detach from your goals also. And, life isn't all about the grind. Life isn't about being competitive. Life is also about being still. And usually when you're still, you actually have time to heal. You have time to grow. And sometimes doing less is the best at times. So it's kind of like the yin of yang. You have to work hard, but you have to rest. And no matter how rich you are, or whether you're a millionaire or not, you'll never be happy unless you help someone.
Joey, thank you so much for being a guest on Bridging the Gap.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
Cheers. Oh, cheers.
This spoiled milk, I don't care. My stomach hurts.
Share where we can find you on social media.
Yes, my pager number is my Instagram is Joey Guila. That's Guila live. It's my Instagram. Facebook is Joey Guila, and my website is joeyguila.com. And yeah, if you guys want, I just launched some merchandise on joeyguila.com. And my fiance and I have a new line called Me So Happy Collection. So she's making some amazing, handcrafted resin art. We got old school collection coming through. Oh, I'd have to show you. Damn, I wonder if we got it. I'll post it on my Instagram. Yeah.
Okay.
But just dope jewelry, custom made. Yeah. You'll see. Me So Happy Collection. Yeah. You have to check it out. It's on Etsy. Is that the website? Etsy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Me So Happy Collection. What's it called, babe? Babe.
Yeah.
What's it called? Me So Happy Collection?
It's a Me So Happy shop.
Oh, Me Soul.
Okay.
SOUL. Me
Okay.
So Happy Shop.
That's the Etsy store.
That's an Etsy store.
Okay.
Oh, I wore one of her pieces on the red carpet, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
Yeah. And we put good jujus in it too, which is.
Yeah. Ooh. I thought you were saying miso, like miso soup. I'm like, okay, he's talking about culinary and all that stuff in this interview. It makes sense, but
that's me, and then soul, SOUL.
Yeah.
And then happy.
Got it. Well, this concludes this episode of Bridging the Gap with Hella Reya. To stay updated on future episodes, consider following this podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel at Hella Reya, if you love the video version of these interviews, subscribe right now. Follow me on Instagram at Hella Reya and at Hella Interviews. At Hella Interviews will be the place to get consistent updates on new episodes of Bridging the Gap with Hella Reya and interviews with your favorite Capamilia stars. So make sure you follow at Hella Interviews. Till then, be courageous and see you there.